Okay, hello friends. We are a week away then from UFC 304 in Manchester. Probably, arguably, almost definitely the biggest and best MMA card that's ever been put on in this country. And I'm very pleased to say that our very own Arnold Allen, who is on the main card, one of the big stars of the show, has made time in his busy schedule to join me now. Arnie, first of all, how's things? I love the fact you're in Ipswich Town top. And you've got some fight posters behind you as well. Some of the
Yeah.
fights past your big fights.
Yeah, everything's good. Training's been very good. Just adjusting to that time schedule, as you say, like the 3 a.m. sort of. I'm opening the main card, so I'm going to be on at 3, like
Yeah,
bang on 3. So it's nice to be spot on the time, not like having maybe a 3:40, 3:30. You know what I mean? Just it's nice to know 3 a.m. I'm on. So yeah,
that's
that's
where I want.
it's been good.
Excellent. That's where I want to start, mate. Because I'm sure if you're watching this, a lot of you will know. But if you don't know, so although this card UFC 304 is in Manchester at the new Co-op Live Arena, it's not happening on UK time. It's on American time for the pay-per-view audience, which is obviously huge in America. Which means that Arnie, who is fighting Giga Chikadze as the first fight in the main card, is going to be fighting at 3 a.m. in the morning. And obviously that poses issues, mate, in terms of body clock and getting yourself ready to sort of peak at that time.
Yeah.
And I know you've essentially been kind of moving towards a nocturnal training and lifestyle building up to this. Can you talk a little bit about that? What is that like, and how has it worked?
Yeah, so it's a fortunately my missus is on board too, so I'm not doing it alone. And
Mm,
my boxing coach Russ Smith from Champions Gym, he always had me in early mornings anyway, doing like 6 a.m.s. But as soon as he found out the fight was at 3, he was like, "Let me know when you want the 3 a.m.s, we'll get it." So last few weeks we've been doing 3 a.m. boxing, and weirdly, where I've been adjusting to this time, I feel more awake at 3 a.m. than I do, like say now.
right.
Like, I'm wide awake at 3 a.m. and then I have the best session, and then like my morning session, which I just had now at 5 p.m., was I was a bit lower energy, which is strange. Yeah.
What I mean, what is that process like? Do you literally have you gone literally from kind of living on kind of UK time to living on American time, or has it been a gradual sort of process?
Definitely a gradual. So
Yeah,
everyone knows that Leon hired an expert coach to sort of give him some advice, this sleep therapist or coach or something.
yeah,
And that was the advice to shift it forward gradually, shift it forward. Because I was thinking, yeah, I'll just do an all night or one night, go to bed
yeah,
at 4 a.m. and I'll be right as rain, and I'll just keep on that. No, like he was saying, so my usual schedule is I'm in bed at like 10 p.m.,
mm,
10 like 10 p.m., 6 a.m. That's kind of my time. I moved it to midnight to 8 a.m. And I was like, for a week, I was exhausted. For 1 week, just doing midnight to 8, I was like a zombie.
yeah.
So I'm glad I did that it was about 5 weeks out. And then it was 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. And now I'm on 4 a.m. till 1. Yeah, 4:30 to like 1. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
blimey. And obviously that's not it's not just you, is it? As you alluded to there, you've got your girlfriend, you've got your coaches. They've all kind of got to live that with you. So,
yeah,
has that been difficult? And obviously, as well as that, you've also got to think about eating, times of eating,
yeah.
and nutrition and all that, and getting your rest and recovery around all that. So, has that been tricky to sort out? Has it been fairly smooth?
Yeah, a little bit tricky. With the training schedules moving and like the food schedule moving, your digestion sort of gets a bit strange, and
Yeah,
it kind of just throws you off your sort of normal routine, like entirely.
yeah.
All adjusted now, everything sort of feels back to normal. Um, I'm glad I did it. I spoke to Bisbin yesterday, and he fought Dan Henderson in Manchester
Exactly. Yeah,
about 8 years ago, I think.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
this
That
time.
was about 5, 6 in the morning, I think.
Yeah,
If I remember. Yeah,
and he did his camp abroad, and he said
yeah,
he'd come over as late as possible and do the regular routine. But he said, to be honest, he just didn't really think about it too much, and then called his name to fight, and then like next thing you're awake, and I'm like, yeah, probably would have been true.
yeah,
Doing it this approach, then you have all bases covered, no bullshit, all that sort of stuff. So
yeah.
that's
So you sitting down to like eat dinner at I don't know, midnight or something. Is it? Is that is that
Yeah,
like your sort of
pretty
dinner
much.
time? Yeah,
So I'm having after this. I'm gonna have my lunch,
yeah.
and then I'm gonna have my dinner. What's it now? 7, probably close to the 1. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay. And obviously you say you've got a coach who gets up with you and takes you on pads. I was watching a video of you doing boxing at 3 a.m. at BKK
yeah.
and looking incredibly sharp, I've got to say.
Thank you very much.
What's that like though? I mean, obviously because the coach has got to be like, yeah, I'll get up at 3 as well. They're all obviously bang on board with it.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's the man. Like, yeah, yeah. He's the best. He's always, when I used to work, so when I used to work down the docks back in the day,
Yeah.
you would have us in sparring at 4 a.m. Pro boxes that also worked. So I would drive down to Colchester, spar with the boys, then drive back to work for 6:30 shift or whatever it was. And yeah, so whatever it takes, he's always made it happen.
Superb. Right then, let's talk a little bit about the fight then, shall we? So Giga Chikadze, you see there below the ticker, is the guy you're fighting. He's 8-1 in the UFC, only one loss, lost to Calvin Cater, a guy that you obviously beat. There's no secret, I don't think, about what kind of opponent
Yeah.
Giga's going to be. Clearly, a elite level kickboxer fought in glory.
Mm.
So is that what you're expecting from him? Someone who's going to want to keep the fight standing, and he's
Yeah.
extremely explosive in the striking area, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So you know what? The sport is such that the guys have certain managements. They sign with certain people. They get the kind of things they ask for.
Hmm.
And if you look through his resume, still strikers.
Yeah,
And there's a reason for that, right? For me, it's kind of I am a striker, but I haven't got that luxury. So my whole career has been against the worst kind of matchups, guys that want to take me down, guys that want to storm me out. I've had a couple of matches with strikers, and I love it. So I relish when I get to fight another striker. And we can have a stand up fight, and you know, I've always been thrown matches that on paper probably don't suit me, and you know, now it's nice to have obviously the Holloway fight as a striking fight, Calvin
yeah,
Kane as a striking fight, uh, Dan Hooker, obviously. Those fights are all stand up fights, and yeah, I'm happy to have those matchups.
yeah. And I know every time I ask you about we talk ahead of fights, and I'll say, well, where are you better? And or, and you always say it's the entire MMA game. It's not just he's a striker, I'm a striker. It's a lot more complicated than that, which is very true. But in terms of if you look at I'm now about to do exactly what I'm talking about. If you look at on paper, obviously he's a brilliant striker. You have a striking background yourself,
Yeah.
but you're also in terms of super strengths, you're incredibly well rounded. Um, Clearly good everywhere. So would you expect yourself to have an edge in the kind of overall MMA game going into this one?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely do. I expect I'm better at jiu-jitsu than him, but
Yeah,
everyone's seen my fights. People know what I do. It's striking.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
And does it feel you alluded to there when you've gone into fights before, maybe knowing that guys are going to want to take you down and that kind of stuff? Does it feel good going into a fight with a guy that more realistically he's going to want to keep it standing,
Yeah,
and he believes he can beat you on the feet?
definitely, definitely. It's nice, It's nice not having that. I wouldn't say the not having the threat because he might try and shoot a takedown. You never
That
know.
would be a surprise. Yeah,
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 but it's nice not going into the camp thinking you can't let your hands go fully because I'll have to always worry about the takedown or having
yeah,
that in your head that this guy's going to try and storm me out on the floor and snooze me off for 3 rounds. So that's nice. That's
mm,
a freeing feeling that you could sort of let your hands go and like do your work. That's lovely.
yeah. And obviously you're a very technical striker. He's a very technical striker. In terms of that kind of fighting a guy that is so dangerous with his hands as a striker, does that give you that extra kind of switch? I won't say fear, but that kind of needing to be on your game like 100%.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Like it gives you that extra little kick up the arse, and it to do a little bit more, be a bit quicker, be a bit sharper, you
Yeah,
know, rather than being sloppy with hands down and
yeah,
stuff like that. Yeah,
yeah. Okay. How are you feeling going into the fight? Because normally in the years I've been speaking to you, you haven't really lost fights.
mm,
You obviously won 10 in a row in the UFC, and now you're on a 2-fight losing skid. You had that great fight with Max Holloway, which was a close fight. I think most people
Yeah.
would probably agree that the decision was right. Max got his hand raised.
Yeah.
And then last fight against Evloev, very contentious. Not only would you say, that there was the knees thing, you look like you're on your way to a finish of him, and there was the whole, was he grounded, was he not? But also, a lot of people, probably me included, having watched the fight back, would say that you probably deserve to win that anyway. So,
Yeah.
does that still kind of rankle in your head? And going into a fight like this, knowing that you've lost 2 in a row, does that in any way change your mindset as to how you approach the fight?
Not really. More in the sense I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
Like I'm pissed off about it, but I'm not going in there with like loser mentality, like, oh, coming off the losses, like the one with Max Holloway is like, is what it is. I had a load of excuses that I'll never use, and he did a load of things that we didn't expect as a team and all that. So hats off to him. He's one of the best ever. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I felt I give a good account of myself, and I still feel I could do better in future. The last one, yeah, it is what it is. Could have done better. Probably should have got the result in my head. The knees,
Yeah.
that was annoying. But yeah, like I'm going in there confident. Like I'm coming off a solid win over a top contender. I'm not going in there with a loser's sort of mentality. If that's if that's what you mean.
Yeah, yeah. And in terms of since we last spoke as well, the division has changed. In fact, I think last time we spoke, you were kind of wondering out loud as to Volk taking the fight with Topuria and
Yeah,
the timing of that. Clearly, that in the end that came to pass, and he got stopped as a new champion. Max
yeah,
Holloway, the guy you fought very closely, is obviously now he's just done what he's done to Gaethje, and people are
crazy.
talking about him now fighting Topuria. So the vision's changed a little bit since we last spoke. Where do you see it now in terms of your position within that division?
It's I think it's wide open. Really,
Yeah,
Ilia is yet to get something booked. Obviously, that'd be nice to see him fight Holloway. Volkanovski, as dominant of a champion as he is, I don't see him getting back to that. One, I don't see him getting back to the title, and I don't see him coming back as he was and being the dominant champion again.
yeah,
He's a bit older, and he's putting a lot of work and being at the top for that long, and holding the belt, fending off contender after contender, and stepping up short notice to take these other fights. It takes his toll, and
mm,
he's not a young man. He's not young anymore. I feel I feel old, and he's a few years older than me, a good few years older than me. So, and
yeah,
I haven't been at that. I haven't been at that. Prefaces the peak of the sport yet. Where
yeah,
the pressure's on every time, and he's a guy that sort of reveled in the pressure and thrived in it. But at some point, it cracks. And I feel
mm,
like maybe that's where we're at now, unfortunately.
yeah,
But then you got Ortega, who's going up a weight. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
mm,
Uh, they're Mosvar's undefeated. I guess he's in there somewhere, but he'll probably fight next year. And that's coming from a guy that fights once a year as well. So
yeah.
yeah,
But seeing a guy like Ilia as the champ, though, as someone clearly a guy with excellent boxing, a
yeah,
striker, you've got to fancy that matchup, haven't you?
yeah,
If that,
definitely. I think some of the tools, some of the skills I've got to match up pretty well.
yeah,
Um, it'd be interesting to see more of him because I still feel like he's the champion who knocked out one of the best ever in Volk, but like
mm,
there's still so many questions.
yeah,
You know, probably one of my biggest. I hate to bring it up. One of my teammates, he fought Jai Herbert at lightweight, didn't he? And he had that win. That's
yeah,
probably the biggest thing I know, like because I've trained a lot with Jai, so I'm like, Jai's legit. The guy's a very, very elite striker, and
mm,
he came back from getting dropped bad and got the win. But for me, that as a casual fan, I think most people don't really, they're like, they don't really know. But having trained with him, I know how good that guy is. So
yeah,
anyone who knows knows.
yeah. Okay. What about this card as a whole? Then I've mentioned it before, and certainly arguably the biggest and best card that there's ever been in this country.
Yeah,
2 titles on the line, including at the top of the bill, Leon Edwards, one of your training partners. How's that been? Because obviously, I assume you've been at Renegade
yeah.
preparing for this. How's that been, sort of training alongside Leon for an event like this? And how's it feel knowing that in terms of the echelons of MMA history in this country, this is going to be one of the biggest events that there's
Yeah.
been or ever will be, really?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's always good to be alongside the champion. It's great. You get some great pointers, great looks, and more training partners come in because you're just in the same room as him. But the
Yeah.
last few weeks, because of the time shift, I actually finishing the camp up locally because
Okay.
he's fighting about 5:30 a.m. I'm fighting at 3, so they've started like staggering the training. So he's sort of taking his guys and going at this time, and I figured, it
Yeah.
wasn't going to work out. So the last few weeks, I'm finishing up local. But yeah, being along those guys and great team. I still work closely with the guys at TriStar.
Hmm.
Fred's still like head coach. Jack at BKK, my boxing coach for us, doing the 3 a.m. sessions for me. Stu put me through the pace in the Muay Thai. So yeah, we've got a great team down here.
Yeah. It really is. It really is a team sport, isn't it?
Yeah,
How do you think Leon's going to do main event wise? Obviously, he's fighting a guy in Bilal. They've actually fought before, but
yeah.
obviously ended up being a no contest.
I think Bilal's improved since that fight. I
Yeah.
think Leon was running away with it before the eye poke. But I also think Leon's improved a lot himself since winning the title. He's stepped up and his mentality is, I've known him in the gym before he was champion. He just seems to have grown into that champion sort of spot, and he's taken the pressure, and he just got better and better and better. And I
Yeah.
think you see a better version of him in this fight as well.
Yeah. I think we've spoken about this before, but you've got to see some similarities between you and Leon, don't you? Obviously, guys that don't talk too much, but and kind of all they do essentially is just be excellent. Do you see that kind of comparison between the two of you?
I've heard it, but like
Yeah.
I don't know. He's got more swagger than me for sure.
Talking about swagger, then obviously I always finish when we talk about fights with a prediction, but I think that's probably boring because obviously you're going to predict you're going to win. So what
Yeah.
instead I'm going to ask you is what would be the perfect night for you? Like if you could choose right now the outcome and how it plays out, would it be you knock him out with the first punch you throw, or would it be like a three round classic war and you emerge with your hand raised and everyone's going on about what warrior you are? If you could design it, how would you draw it up?
Yeah, one punch knockout would be pretty sweet. But
Yeah,
no, we put in a lot of hard work for months and years, really. It'd be nice to go out there and show my skills, show a masterclass. Obviously, ultimately get a finish, but I want to show my level. Show where I'm at and show the Arsenal my striking level and all these things. Not
yeah,
just go out and obviously people refer to the Dan Hooker fight a lot, but I got some good skills too. I don't just go swinging
of
wild.
course, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that I mean, I think back to Dan Hooker fight. That was, you say you got poked in the eye or something. You couldn't see, so you had to go
Yeah,
kind
there
of
was like
full beast mode.
and I was just like, oh, okay, well, here we go.
I'm just going to go for it.
Right.
Also, have I? I mean, I'm following you on social media. As I'm sure a lot of people do. Have I seen this? What looks to be the start of a mullet in the haircut? Is it? I wondered if you were going with the fight mullet. Is that something you're
Yeah,
you're working towards or?
yeah. It's not long enough, really, is it? But yeah, that is what's happening.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure you'll be looking good at 3 a.m. on Sunday morning. It is, isn't it? Not Saturday morning.
Yeah, so I'm fighting
Sunday morning,
28
technically.
for UFC.
I know a lot of people will still be up in Suffolk, probably setting some sort of record.
Yeah,
The amount of people up at that time in Suffolk watching a sporting event. And I've got to ask as well before we go, talking of sporting events, you're wearing Ipswich Town top, the new home shirt. You've also got the away shirt. What are your thoughts on both of those?
yeah, I like it. Like I said off camera, I was a bit dubious when I saw them release, and I don't know why.
Yeah,
Maybe the away shirt because I'm a bit colorblind, but then went into the shop to pick them up. I was like pleasantly surprised. I'm not the biggest fan of the V-neck because I usually train in my football shirts, my
that's
Ipswich
right.
shirt. I
Yeah,
don't want to like train in the V-neck really, but
yeah.
yeah, it's a nice casual shirt.
Have you got a favourite of the two?
Yeah, I'd say the away one, the
The
maroon.
away one. Cool.
Yeah,
Um, Clearly, you're in the Premier League of MMA. Ipswich Town are in the Premier League of football next
yeah.
season. And you're a big Ipswich Town fan. We've spoken about that a lot. Are we
Mm.
going to get to? Are we going to get to see you at Portman Road? Do you think next season? I know you've got a little road trip planned after the fight.
Yeah. So actually, something I saw because it's Premier League, there are going to be some Sunday games, isn't there?
Yes, there are. There's going
So
to be lots of funny kickoffs.
usually, I can never make the games because I'm training Saturdays. If I'm in Birmingham, I can't drive back in time, or you
Yeah,
know, whatever. But yeah, because the Sunday game works perfectly. So I saw that. I saw actually someone was complaining like, "Oh, Sunday." I was like, "Oh, sweet!" Like I might get to some games. Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
We
So
need to,
that's I can't wait.
we need to get you at Portman Road. We need to get you in the director's box as well, along with Big Fab Wardley. He's always in there.
Mhm.
How do you think Town are going to do in the Premier League, mate? Because obviously they've done the impossible essentially by getting to the Premier League, two
Yeah,
straight promotions. They'll immediately be the favourites to get relegated. But can you
definitely.
see them kind of define the odds again?
Yeah, I think they're gonna finish like top half. I could see the top
Wow.
half of the table. That's. I was actually thinking about it the other day. I'm gonna go put a bet on it because I
Yeah.
feel like it's gonna happen. Yeah,
What's
yeah.
that based on? Just like McKenna being such a good manager and the feeling
Yeah,
around the club?
like the buying some players, spending the money. That's the main thing. Is that you're not just getting there and going right. Well, these boys did great last year. Let's just keep it as is. They're like,
Yeah.
we need to improve, and yeah, that's what they're doing.
Mate, if they finish top half, wow, what a story that
Yeah,
would be. Just
yeah,
continuing that story. In terms of your story, mate, we're sitting here now. It's what is it, Friday?
yeah.
So you're fighting a week on Saturday, Sunday morning. What does the rest of the week ahead look for you now? When you go to Manchester, and I assume you've got loads of media commitments and all that kind of stuff to do.
Yeah, I head up to Manchester on Tuesday. I'm just gonna drive up, and then I've got some pancakes to beat Sunday. My nutritionist, we get like pancakes just before the fight week, so
Nice.
yeah, yeah, that's good. My
What
missus,
sort?
yeah,
What sort of pancakes?
like full fat maple syrup,
We're
like bit.
talking like the big American ones, the big sort of
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
like
Super.
real pancakes.
So
Yeah,
that's a bit of a treat for you.
yeah, yeah. I love it.
Outstanding.
I
Good
can't
stuff,
wait.
mate. Good stuff. And also before you go, I want to plug your merchandise line. Not only a UFC star, not only a YouTuber as well now, but you've also got you're dominating the merchandise market with the almighty merch. Where can people go and get some merch to support you?
Yeah, it's almightymerch.co. I don't know why it was .co, but that was what was available. So that is the domain name we went with. But yeah, there's it's doing good. It's doing really well. You know, it's kind of like one of them things where me and my missus, well, my missus had the idea. I came up with the idea, then she was like, I could do that. So sweet. And it's just taken off. Like she's killing it, really. I just share some random stuff on social media and then she does everything else. She kills it.
Superb, mate. You're taking over. Right then, I'll let you get on because I know you've got some eating to do, you've got some training to do.
Yeah.
Thanks as ever for joining me. So just a reminder then, Arnie Allen fights Giga Chikadze at 3 a.m. in the morning, a
Um,
week on Sunday at Co-op Manchester. Don't miss it because it's going to be a great fight. Get yourself some merch, support Arnie, and go and say hello to him when you see him at Portman Road next season. Thanks, mate.
cheers.